All right, y'all, I'm so excited because we are doing something new today. Many of you ask me questions, and we are going to start answering some of those questions here on the show. If you have a question, by the way, you can send it to me on Instagram at Christy B. Wright, and we will try to get your question here in the fishbowl for me to answer. And I will tell you all, I've never seen any of these questions. I don't know what you've sent in, but I am here for it. Here we go. Let's see what our questions are today. First one. Can you make a video about why you chose Jesus over other spiritual choices? Well, we're just starting small, aren't we? We're just gonna ease into it. Okay, sure, great. I'll be honest, going back to my story of how I met the Lord, which is very Christian language, by the way, I realize. How I became a Christian is another way to say it. I did not grow up in the church. I went to youth group with some friends in like 8th grade and 9th grade, but I wasn't a believer. I didn't know anything about God or Jesus other than what I heard kind of secondhand from people. And I remember my sophomore year of high school, I went to a Young Life camp, and Young Life was cool in high school. So like that's where the cool kids were going. So obviously I wanted to go. And so I went to this camp, and, you sing songs and you play games and, do ropes courses and all that kind of stuff. But there was one particular night when we had a speaker, and this man talked to me about a God in a way that I'd never heard about. He talked to me about a God that loved me before time began, that knew me, created me, and loved me, that he accepted me just as I was. I didn't have to clean up my act or get straight A's or throw away my short shorts. I didn't have to make better decisions. I didn't have to become good, whatever that meant. But he loved me right there, as I was. And something in my spirit, the best way I can describe it is something in my spirit believed it. I didn't understand it, but by the grace of God, I believed it. And I sat there cross-legged on a dingy carpet with hundreds of other teenagers as we heard about this God that could change everything. Not only change where we spent eternity, but change who we are on this earth, simply because we were loved. And we had an opportunity to go out and pray, and maybe pray for the first time if we'd never prayed before. And I've always been scared of the dark. I've always been scared of being alone, and I've always had nightmares, and so I don't like being alone, especially in the dark. But for some reason that I still can't explain, I walked out of that club room that night in the dark, in the woods, which does sound like a scary movie, by the way. And I followed this gravel path until I got to a tree, and the only thing lighting my way was this dim starlight. And I sat down against this tree as I walked the path with a peace I can't even explain. I wasn't scared at all. And I looked up at the stars. And I just simply said, God, I don't know who you are. I don't know if you're there. I don't know if what they said is true, but I want to believe it. And I want to focus on you like I'm focusing on this star right now. I didn't invite Jesus into my heart like I'd heard other people say. It was just a silly, simple salvation prayer from a lost girl. But you know what's so cool? Is that silly prayer of asking to focus on God like I was focusing on a star was a prayer that caused all of heaven to rejoice. That night changed everything. But here's what I will tell you if you're watching right now and you don't know that God. There's no wrong prayer. You don't have to be good. You don't have to clean up your act. You don't have to make better choices. You don't have to throw out your short shorts. You don't have to get straight A's. And you don't have to pray your prayer a certain way. All you have to do is seek God. Just ask him. Ask him to come near to you, and he will. That day changed not only where I will spend eternity, but how I live my life on this earth. But here's what's the really cool about it. God has been faithful to me personal to me, protective of me, providing for me, speaking to me, guiding me and leading me and directing me and answering prayers and taking care of me every day of my life. Before then, by the way, which I didn't know it, but even since then, he has put money in my bank account that I needed that I can't explain where it came from. He has given me a breakfast from a flight attendant on a flight when I hadn't eaten in 17 hours and I was pregnant. He has opened doors for me to work at the company of my dreams. He has given me gifts I didn't know that I had to use, like speaking and writing. If you would have told 16-year-old Christy that she would be a speaker and writer, she would have laughed at you. But that's who God is, and that's what God does. He loves to take care of you. So why did I choose? Why you chose Jesus over other spiritual choices? There wasn't a choice. He was the only one all along. I just had to realize it. Well, I'm glad we're starting slow here today, right? Starting easing into this Q&A. I want to encourage you, if you're watching right now, and this sounds like something you don't know or haven't experienced, but you want to, seek out your local church, any church. Seek out any person in your life that is a person of faith and ask them some questions. Ask them about this God I just talked about, and they'll be happy to tell you more about this Jesus that died for you and loves you and wants a relationship with you. And it can change everything. And watch how he'll be faithful to you every step of the way. Well, if I can recover from that, let's answer another question, shall we? This is fun. I don't know. Are they all like this? Are they all like, I don't know. Are we going to have, I don't know. Here we go. Okay, a life balance question. Sure, let's rein it in. Here we go. Okay. Did you find it difficult to regain balance after having your third child? What is balance? What is that? No, listen, yes. Interestingly enough, and I actually talk about this in my book coming out this fall, by the way. I don't know if I've told you guys that, but I have a book coming out on life balance in October. No, not October. That's not true. September. Children take away your brain cells, so time and numbers are hard. Here's what I've learned about balance from having my children, working, trying to do all the things just like you are. I have learned that balance looks different in every season of life. So not just balance looks different between one child to two or two to three, balance looks different in every different season. So what balance looked like before kids is very different than what it looked like after I had Carter, and very different after I had Conley, and very different after I had Mary Grace. But even within that, there was a different level of balance. Like, let's go back to, as a very practical example, back to 2017. In the spring of 2017, I was launching the Business Boutique book, and I worked all the time. That's what balance looked like. It's like, we got to get this book out there. This is the focus for this season. That summer, I didn't work a lot because I worked so much that spring. I didn't go in the office a lot, took a lot of time off, spent a lot of time with my kids. Balance was resting and catching up. So balance isn't this perfect 50-50 split, and it's not doing everything for an equal amount of time. It's about doing the right things at the right time. And I believe that when you do the right things at the right time, you feel the sense of balance that you've been looking for. So I want to encourage you, if you're asking this question because you have a third baby on the way, or you're feeling out of balance after adding a child to your family, or any of you that are feeling out of balance for any reason, I want to encourage you to figure out what is right now. If everything is important, nothing is important. I believe Patrick Lencioni said that. So figure out what is important right now in this season and do those things. When you do the right things at the right time, you will feel the sense of balance you've been looking for. But it was never because you did everything perfectly all the time. It was because you focused on the right things at the right time. That's exactly what I talk about actually in my new book, Take Back Your Time, that's coming out this fall on September 14th, I believe. So you guys can stay tuned for that. You'll hear more about it coming up. But this idea of balance being a moving target is frustrating to everybody. And when life throws you a curveball, or your family changes, or your work changes, I feel out of balance again. But I think balance is something you can create when you focus on the right things at the right time. And I would love to help you do that. Great question. Okay, let's do one more before we wrap up. Oh, here we go. How do you lead well if your personality is quiet compared to most? Really simple answer. Be you. Leadership is not a personality style. It is who you are in leading others through your influence. And silence can be a very powerful influence. A quiet spirit can be a powerful influence. When you speak with wisdom and you choose your words carefully, you gain the respect of the room, your thoughtfulness you put into what you say and how you say it. Don't feel like that you need to be an extrovert or a certain personality style. You do need to speak up. You need to be able to voice your opinion or share what's on your heart or lead through actual communication. But it doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be aggressive. It doesn't have to be bossy. In fact, your personality style can be the most effective in a room with people like that. I just want to encourage you to be you. You're not supposed to be someone else. You're supposed to be you, and God can and will use you right where you are as He designed you. Quiet though you may call it, it may even be more effective than you realize. All right, y'all, this was so fun. I love answering your questions. Again, if you have a question for me, you can send it to me on Instagram at Christy B. Wright. We will get your question, print it off. My team will do it. I don't do it. They put it in the fishbowl so I don't see it. And then I will answer it here on the show. And I love you guys. Thanks so much for joining me. And of course, for more encouragement on becoming the person you want to be, you can visit ChristyWright.com.